Hi everyone, I just wanted to jump on and give an update where we are with the coronavirus stimulus package that got put through Parliament yesterday. What I was after for the last couple of days is a bit of clarification around the package and more so how it was going to be administered, and second of all, how and if the money was actually going to go to its intended target, which is all of you guys. But I've made some calls today and got some clarity around the situation. So now I'm going to try to explain a couple of the main points, which I think are the most relevant to my client base, just to put some context to the calls and emails I've made to everyone over the last week. So with the cash flow assistance package, this is the $20,000 payment that will be made to all of our employer clients. So my initial correspondence said that this was open to manipulation by closely held employers. Since that video was made, the minimum payments increased from $2,000 to $10,000. So look, I don't think that means that it's open to manipulation anymore. I just don't think that it's going to be worth making the changes necessary to get any more money out of the government than what needs to happen. As well as that, they've got some single touch payroll data, which that's their basis for who's eligible for the payment and who isn't. So if you haven't been an employer on the single touch payroll list up until the 12th of March, basically you won't be receiving a payment. So I'm lucky all of my employers, genuine employers, are on the books. So how this will work is once we lodge your March BAS, so I believe that the ATO will be inundated in 9 days time, 8 days time, with people lodging their March BAS as soon as possible to try to get their first stimulus payment as soon as they possibly can. The first aspect of the $20,000 payment is an upfront payment of $10,000. So 50% of the payment is relevant to the March 2020 BAS. Now, my question that I asked the tax office directly is, what if the client has got an existing tax debt or a tax debt under a current payment arrangement, or even if their March BAS exceeds $10,000 in liability? What happens then? Does the ATO essentially pocket the credit and then leave the employer with no money to pay their rent, pay the bills, pay their staff, which was the spirit of the whole stimulus package? What's the ATO's position? Nothing official's come out yet, but I've been told from the ATO staff that I've spoken to that their initial communication is get the money out, get the money, let the money do what the government intends, which is to go to the employers to pay rent, pay electricity, pay your employers, keep employers employing people. So that's the good news, is that even if you do have a pre-existing debt or your March BAS is quite large, you'll still be getting your $10,000 as cash. So I think that that's the most important thing right now to a lot of my clients, is that they actually get that cash injection to overcome the initial shock of what's going on. So after that, the other $10,000 of the package, from reading the guidance on the Treasury website, which maybe I'll send around an email with a link to the fact sheet, is essentially after the June BAS, a payment will, if you are still an employer, of course, if you're still an employer at the June BAS, you'll be receiving 50% of the minimum of the payment you received in March, which is, for most of you, will be $5,000, making it 15. And then in October, after the September BAS has been lodged, you'll receive the final $5,000 payment, making the $20,000. So initially we were told it's a $20,000 payment, which it is. Unfortunately, we're not going to get it all front loaded. It'll be half in April, half in July, 50% $5,000 in July, and the last $5,000 in October. So there's some clarity around that now, which is what we were after. As I mentioned, if you do have a tax debt, it won't be offset against that automatically. What I would recommend though is getting in contact with the tax office and obviously explaining the situation that everybody is in, because administratively there are avenues that we can go down. It's either something like an interest-free payment plan, which again isn't attractive to most of you, but what they are doing is they are deferring some payments for a period of 6 months. So if you are in that position, it's well worth getting in touch with the tax office and getting them to defer the payment or your obligations that you have for as long as possible. The second part of the stimulus package that I've mentioned to everyone is the easy access to cash and credit aspect of the bill. So these are the low to no interest free loans that the ATOs, that the government's tried to stimulate through the credit facility. So what that means is there's not a lot of clarity around that yet because we don't know what that looks like, but apparently in early April there'll be some products available. They're loans of up to $250,000 and they'll be repayable in 3 years' time. So what you might do as a strategy, which I've talked to some of you about, is perhaps looking into one of these loans as just backup. You know, I think I've used the analogy 100 times today. If you've got a weapon in your pocket, you don't want to take it out, but there'll be a situation where you're glad that you've got it there. So if you can just if we can be able to get access to some money, have it there. Hopefully we don't have to use it, but it's there in case. We don't know how long this thing's going to go on for. We don't know how long the impact of this virus is going to go on for, but if we've got some funding in our back pocket, in 3 years' time, we'd rather have the obligation to pay it back or, remain paying it back rather than in 3 years' time having a defunct business and wishing that we had have done it. So that's another strategy that hopefully we'll have some clarity in the coming weeks and we'll be able to get some more information in that space. So those are the two main aspects of the stimulus package that are relevant to you. If you have any questions, please let me know. However, like I said, I'll be sending around a PDF from the Treasury with some fact sheets. They're the best resource I've seen so far. But if you have any other questions, please let me know.